A very good evening, everyone. I am CA Sarita Agrawal, and on behalf of the NEXTLEAP 2025, which is an initiative organized by the ICAI Singapore Chapter in collaboration with BeyondSeed under the aegis of Committee on MSME and Startups of ICAI. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all our founders, mentors, and participants joining us for today's masterclass on fundraising strategy. The NextLeap 2025 is a distinctive platform that brings together the dynamic startup ecosystems of India and Singapore, empowering founders, professionals, and innovators to broaden their horizons and think beyond borders. Each masterclass here is designed to provide practical insights and expert guidance, helping you scale your venture confidently and go further in your startup journey. So today's session focus on one of the most crucial aspects of building and expanding a business, that is raising funds. For any startup, access to the right fund at right time can be a game changer. It fuels innovation, accelerates growth, and provides the resource needed to turn vision into reality. So we are privileged to have with us Ms. Radhika Jain, CEO of BeyondSeed Middle East and Head of Investor Relations. Ms. Radhika Jain brings over 2 decades of global experience across investments, wealth management, and startup advisory. As a co-founder of BeyondSeed Middle East, she is driving the firm's mission to build a strong early-stage investment and advisory ecosystem in the region. With a career spanning India, US, and UAE, Radhika has held leadership roles and scaled wealth management platform for major financial institutions. She is also an active angel investor since 2020. She is passionately supporting early-stage founders and innovation-led ventures. So let's dive straight into the session and make the most of this valuable learning opportunity today. And participants, if you have any questions for Radhika, you can just post your questions in the chat box. And after the presentation, Radhika will answer all those questions. So over to you, Radhika. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Sarita, for that kind introduction. Sometimes listening about yourself makes you realize that a lot of time has gone by since I started working. But yes, it's been a very, very exciting journey. And there's a fantastic learning that I have picked up along the route, working with high net worth investors, working with institutional investors. And congratulations to ICAI Singapore and everybody involved for this brilliant program. I heard really great things. And I'm very sure everybody attending the sessions is taking away a lot of good learnings that they can apply in their own growth journeys. So very happy to be here along with my co-panelist, Mr. Tarun. Hopefully we'll be able to do some justice to the time that you guys are trusting us with. For me, see, I bring in more of an investor perspective when it comes to the fundraising journey for any startup. So it's more of a talk, and I would like to share some thoughts based on my experience so far. I don't have a fancy presentation or anything, so I can just use them as my talking points, or if you want, I can share the screen so that we are on the same page while we are talking. Kushal, I'm afraid I'm not able to share the screen anymore.
That shouldn't be the case, Radhika. Maybe try again, because ideally that shouldn't be the case.
Kushal, also I have tried to log in. From another email, which is tarun9791@gmail.com.
Kushal, I think here the setting, multiple participants can share simultaneously. Do we need to turn it on?
Not for that. Let me. Okay, try now.
If you suggest, I can continue with the talk.
Try now, Radhika. I think.
Let me know when we're okay.
Radhika, this time you try again. If this should work.
I'm sorry, it's not working still.
Are you using the same account, right?
Same, I tried
Same account
before we
where
started. Unfortunately, something changed.
Radhika, are you using the tab or a laptop? Because there's
I have a laptop.
okay.
I tried before we started, right? And it worked quite okay.
see
Yeah,
you
yeah.
both of you, I have made both of you as the co-host, and all the
Maybe
settings that
Kushal.
require to be done, multiple participants can share. Yeah, there shouldn't be any setting issue.
So let's do this, Kushal. Let me continue. Like I said, there are no fancy pictures or graphs that I need to share, so it's fine. I can share the presentation whenever you're ready. Please drop me a side message.
But this should be
I'll
done
start
from
with
my
that.
side. No other action pending, Radhika. I think at your end you need to try again, but my side there is no other action pending.
Do you want me to send the presentation to you perhaps, and maybe you can try sharing? I'm sorry, the share screen button doesn't work.
Do you want to log in again, Radhika?
Sure, give me 1 minute.
Pause and log in again.
Yes, sorry for the snafu, guys. Give me 1 minute.
So guys, some technical challenges today.
So
We can see
finally,
your screen, Tarun sir. Yeah.
finally, I've succeeded.
Yeah, exactly. So there was no other setting pending to be done. It is, I think, more related to the login issue. So Tarun sir, you need to stop once so Radhika can start to share.
Okay.
Yes, Radhika, we can see your screen. See, this works now.
Okay, perfect. Sometimes switching off and switching on works best. Okay. So good evening again, everybody. So let's get started. We are talking about having a strategy for raising funds. I think the first question all of us have on top of our minds is why do we need a strategy? Raising funds it's obvious that any business needs funds, and it is something that all the founders need to go ahead with. But it is, although it is an obvious process and it is something that everybody does and needs to be done, there are significant impacts of how you go through the journey of raising funds, which can actually impact the growth trajectory of your overall business. Not only are there major decisions to be made about when you want to start your fundraising journey, about how much you want to raise, what is the valuation, and the stage of the business at which you want to start this journey for yourself. You have to be in a place where you are in a frame of mind where you are ready for a long process as well. So all of this requires a very conscious and a deliberate effort. For some of us, these things come easy. It's obvious that we need to raise funds. We have done that before, but for a lot of us, we are first-time founders. So we still need to go through a sit-down process where we draw out a strategy, where we take critical decisions in a deliberate manner, in a thought-through manner, so that we have a proper plan in place. At the same time, we need to make sure that we plan for contingencies. No matter how well we can evaluate and think about the future, there will always be things that will go not as per plan. So we need to be flexible. You need to be able to adapt and move at a fast pace based on the feedback that you get while you go through the process. So simply put, I think I'm reiterating a few things on why it is very, very critical to strategize, to have a proper paper and a plan when you decide to raise funds and when you decide to actually go out and hit the market. Now, like I said, I'll want to talk a little bit more from the investor perspective on when you are out there looking to raise funds, one of the most important decisions you will have to make is what is the kind of investor that you are targeting. And one common thing that every investor has is, yes, they have money to invest. But other than that, they hardly have anything in common. Investors are very different depending on what kind of geography they come from, what kind of risk profile they represent, what kind of stage they invest in, what kind of sector preferences they have, whether they are an institutional investor, whether they are a family office, or whether they are a high net worth individual, they are an angel investor. All these factors determine the journey, determine the experience that you will have when you're engaging with these investors. Therefore, it is very important that before you start going out, you decide who you want to reach out to. Accordingly, you will have to prepare the rest of your journey. The kind of communications you prepare, the kind of readiness you have to present will change based on who you are talking to. Yeah, and it's possible that at times you might be talking to different kinds of investors. You might be talking to some VC funds like BeyondSeed, for example, or you might be talking to some angel investors who could be individuals who generally support early stage companies. But that one meeting with a VC fund could look very different from the second meeting, and you have to be mentally prepared for both, as well as prepared with your things like information access. So before you go out, it is very important that you define what is the investor persona, who are your target investors. Secondly, see, as founders, you have already done the tough part. You've already figured out a problem that needs solving. You have figured out the solution for it, and you've also figured out a business case and a revenue story around it, right? So you already have the story. But once you start talking to people outside your company, people who have not been part of the journey, you have to learn how to convey that story. And it might not be something very intuitive. You know, as somebody who's been involved in the business for the last 3 years, a lot of things are obvious to you. A lot of things are, as are part of your daily experiences. But an investor who's seeing you on day zero, they need to be able to internalize your story, your journey as well. And I cannot overemphasize the need of this as a skill set in a founder, that the ability to convey your story, what you have achieved so far, and the vision that you are working towards. That skill set could be very different from actually having that story and being able to deliver on that story. So please be mindful, prepare yourself with the idea that you will have to pick up a new skill set in case you don't have that naturally. So that is something you will have to consciously work towards. The next thing, which is super critical, is what we call a data room. The idea here is to be well prepared with the information that an investor would ask from you at different stages of engagement. Initially, you might be sending a teaser or superficial information about the company and what it's trying to do. But as the engagement goes on, the interested investors will start looking for more and more in-depth information about the company, about what has happened so far, about what you are planning, because they're trying to judge not only where you have reached, but also your ability to take it to the next level, and whether you will be able to do justice to their investment. And for an investor, like I said, they are joining your story midway. So for them, this is probably the only way they can make a judgment about how good or bad the story is, how much they can relate to it. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of this factor as well. There are standard templates of what a data room should contain, what an investor should look for. I can share that separately if required. But as a founder who's starting on the journey of fundraising, as part of the strategy, please start thinking about having a data room and preparing that data room from today, from 6 months out. And finally, as part of your investor targeting journey, one of the things that makes it very, in a way, easy and supportive experience for you is to have an anchor investor or a lead investor. Now, a lead investor or an anchor investor is somebody who comes in with a significant portion of what you are raising in total, and at the same time becomes a flag bearer for your story for other investors who come in. So seeing that other investors get comfort level that the larger investor, lead investor, has made made the investment decision. So there is merit to the story, and it's always better to start any conversation with a positive spin on it. Not just that, as a founder as well, for you to score an angel investor, an anchor investor as part of your journey is a significant confidence boost. And at the end of the day, it's conversations, it's interactions. So the more confidence you go in with, the future conversations become better and better. So keep that frame in mind when you start drawing up your investor persona. If you can start drawing up your target anchor investors or lead investors as well, that just smoothens out your overall investing journey as well. Okay, again, talking about investors, a few things that investors like to know that can help you prepare for the data room as well as the conversation or the pitch that you want to have with all your investors. So as an investor, what am I looking for? See, I'm trusting you as a founder with my money, with my investments, with the confidence that you will do justice to it. You will use it for the purpose that you are conveying to me you will use it for, and you will do it in a profitable way. In the process, I will make returns, and you will create a business and you will make returns as well. Right? So we are coming in as partners to build something together, and in the process, do it in a commercially beneficial way. So there are a few things that really become the pointers of success as well as the risk that I'm taking on my investments. Yeah, so there are always two sides to any investment decision. Everybody wants returns, obviously, and everybody understands that we need to absorb some risk, but it's really the balancing act between the two. Most investors, in fact, all investors are very happy accepting good risk, accepting risk that will result in returns, but no investor wants to take the bad kind of risk. Yeah. So there are a few things that convey whether the risk we are about to take for our investments are tolerable, are acceptable or not. So a typical parameter for an early stage company is what is the runway that the company currently has and what is the burn rate on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. Yeah, this as an investor tells me what is the survival potential of the company. You know, when I'm investing in something, I want that business to survive, not just survive, I want it to thrive, right? So I want to see that the company is going to continue operating and it will continue doing that, without sort of a life support. Yeah, so it's very important to have a healthy runway and a control on your burn rate and clear visibility on what your burn rates are and the fact that you can control it. And conveying this confidently to the investors is always a good idea. Obviously, the second point is the ownership or the dilution that you are considering as part of the terms of the transaction. Depending on the kind of investors you are approaching, some of the investors are very interested in coming in with a significant stakes. Specifically, institutional investors like to see that they have a significant stake in the company in terms of the ownership, so that it becomes important enough for them to give their time and expertise to the business. It also becomes important for the founder to maintain good relationships with these large investors. For angel investors who are investing smaller amounts, it may not be a big criteria, but it becomes important depending on the ticket size primarily. The other thing is the dilution that you are carrying out in the business right now. One is right now, and also as part of your future journey. So any fundraise that you are planning, it will not be done in isolation. So you might be raising funds right now. Most probably every company does it in rounds. So any time you reach out to investors, they will ask you, what are your future plans for fundraise? What have you projected? Right? So that will give an idea what will be the dilution. This is significant for investors because ultimately my return will depend on my diluted holdings. So having a visibility and a plan on that and being able to convey that to investors again becomes very important. There are business factors such as what is the traction in the business right now, what is the stage of the business, uh, and as well as revenue traction, the product adoption, the market capture that has already happened, as well as the opportunity size. So where do we stand right now, and what is the total size potential growth that we can project in the future? Again, the idea is to be able to create a visibility for the investors on what is the potential return for their investment here. So being able to present your current business numbers, what has been the journey, what has been the speed of growth in the past, and how fast it is expected to grow in future and to what extent, gives an indication of where the investors might want to exit in future and at what size they can expect it. Similarly, risk mitigation in the business. Now, this is different from the investment risk we were talking about earlier. This is more about the business risk itself. Now, any business will have its own inherent risk. If it's a manufacturing business, it might have its physical environment risk. If it is a pharma business, for example, it might have regulatory risks and other approval risks to be taken care of. How those risks have been articulated in detail, and what is the mitigation plan that the founders have already put in place is very important for the investors. Again, investors completely understand that they have to adopt and accept certain risks in any business. But what is important is, one, whether we have identified those the risks inherent in the business, and secondly, do we have a mitigation or an acceptance plan for the different risks that we might face in future. And finally, the most important element for any startup, the investors are looking for founders they like to work with. The success or failure or super success of any early stage business, more than anything else, depends on the agility of its founders, on the confidence of its founders to get into a problem and to solve the problem, no matter what kind of problems come in future. We all understand and accept that nobody's able to predict future with certainty. We are all living with probability here. But at the same time, the biggest, best bet we can take is on a founders who can face uncertainties, bad situations, and then still be resilient enough to address those situations and come out of that in a way that works best for the business and for the investors who have trusted them. So investors are really looking for founders that we can understand, that we like working with, who understand the environment they are operating in, who are not afraid to ask for help when they need it, and who are really resilient and have that spark to go after the solution and not give in when when going gets tough, because going definitely gets tough and multiple times. So these are a few things that as an investor, I really keep my ears open for and look for whenever I'm trying to have an interaction with any new company, or whether I'm going through their data room. These are the points that I'm in a way judging in my head and in my due diligence. Okay, so a lot of talk about what to do. There are a few things that in my experience I have seen in conversations with founders in a lot of investment pitches, where some things really stand out that typically first time founders, or if they have not got the right guidance, there is a recurrence of certain issues, which if you're aware, you should definitely avoid. You can avoid if you prepare and go into the process in a more conscious way. So for example, going into the fundraising journey without a proper strategy or without clear milestones in your mind, without being clear about what you are looking for, who you are targeting, how much are you raising for, and what will it lead to in terms of your business milestones as well. Not having that clarity and just doing fundraise for the sake of it is one of the uh, biggest red flags that investors don't like to see when they are talking to founders. So it's important to articulate what your milestones are going to be and how the fundraise journey will look like over the next few years, and how the investors will participate in that. Similarly, not being clear about which investors you want to target. Like I mentioned, the conversation at your different stages of the business, different kind of investors are right for you. Yeah, so just like some investments are right for investors, similarly, some investors are right for you. Some investors may not be the right ones, right fit for you. So you have to be mindful of that as well, and be clear about what kind of investors you don't need. And that's absolutely okay. If you know what investors you want to target, you can have a more focused and more targeted approach, and that will result in much better success rather than carpet bombing and just going to anybody who potentially has money, right? So having that clear definition of what kind of investors will have the right kind of risk profile to understand your business and be able to take a call on your company, it's very important. Similarly, a very uh, common confusion we have seen in some founders is they do not know, or they struggle to define how much they should raise, and sometimes end up over diluting, and at other times end up raising less than what they need. So it is definitely a balancing act. You cannot you can err on either side, but on one extreme you might end up diluting a lot at a valuation which may not do justice to your potential right now. So there is a case for doing fundraise over a period of time in smaller bite sizes. At the same time, fundraise is an involved process. It takes a lot of time. So once you are part of the process, you want to optimize the time you're spending in that and do enough fundraise so that you don't have to go through the exercise continuously. So according to JP Morgan and a lot of other private equity players out there, typically when you start your fundraise journey, look for raising at least 18 to 24 months of runway, so that once you have funds in your account, you can deploy them, you can generate results and KPIs and milestones for at least 12 months, and then can start preparing for the next round of fundraise after that. So so do not underraise as well, because you don't want to be going through this process again and again and get into the loop of a survival game. But at the same time, do not undersell yourself, do not over dilute as well. Just because you're in the process, just because it's fancy to raise a business number, it may not make sense for you. Yeah. Similarly, on the info sharing side, there are a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion that can be created if the data room is not properly created. And as an investor, it is very off-putting to try to go through unstructured data or unthought through data, incomplete data or information, and not having the response time that you would expect. And sometimes it's as an investor, it's just easier to walk away than invest a lot of time trying to figure out through chaotic information. So that's why you want to make it easier for your investors to understand what you are trying to share with them. Having a structured data room, having structured information. Over information is also an overkill. But at the same time, full transparency, anything which is relevant to the investor to be able to make their decision should be shared in a clear and a structured way. And one thing that gets sometimes goes unaddressed is investors, when they start looking at information, we will have questions, right? So we reach out to the founders, but we don't get response in a timely manner. That is generally a yellow flag. That's not a good thing, because if the founders are really interested in raising their fund, then they should be responsive to the investors in a timely way and with clear information. It's absolutely okay to not have all information available on your fingertips. That's absolutely fine. But at least being engaged in the process and communicating that it will take time, and then giving information within the deadline you communicated is very important. So again, very interactive process and engaged process is required here, instead of a data dump and then expecting the investors to figure it out themselves. Similarly, lack of clarity on exit. I would say as an investor, see, the goal for an investor is to have an exit, is to make a return. It might be similar to the founder's objective. It might be slightly different from a founder's objective as well. The founder might be trying to build a business for legacy, right? But you have to appreciate that the investors are coming in as financial investors. There might be strategic investors like BeyondSeed. We come in, we invest, but we also work very closely with our founders to help them on their growth journey, what they should be doing over the next quarters, etc. But at the end of the day, all investors want to make an exit. The building a business with an exit with an exit plan also is a skill, is also something that needs to be thought through. It is a function of the industry you are in. It is a function of other transactions or potential that you have seen in similar founders around you. So being able to convey that story and telling that upfront to investors always helps your case. So that's something I think a lot of founders probably miss out, because they themselves are probably not thinking of their business from an exit perspective. But they must appreciate that investors are coming in with that angle in mind. And yeah, one of the biggest tragedies, unfortunately, that I have seen with a lot of founders is sometimes they let their own brilliance get in their way. One of the things that I mentioned earlier, having a story versus being able to convey the story can be two different things. So fantastic founders, great problem, great solution, great market potential. But if you come across as a know-it-all, if you come across as a founder who's not open to feedback, not just from investors, but from the environment, and ready to adapt and ready to address what needs to be addressed, then there is no escape to it. As a founder, sometimes you have to get out of your own way to let the company succeed. The company cannot succeed without you, for sure, but the company has to succeed with you as well. So being able to convey that story out to the investor, being able to manage the growth path of the company while being a productive member of the company is really important. So that was mostly what I wanted to say. Final words, it's much easier than they make it sound, than I'm making it sound perhaps for you. So it's when you start the process, in case you're already in the process, have gone through it, you'll get a lot of these technical jargons thrown at you, dilutions and structuring and CCPS karna hai or safe note. They're all fine. You learn the process as you go through it. It's not rocket science. Even if it's rocket science, it can be learned. A lot of people have done it before. So really, it's not that tough. It's just something that you have to be prepared for and just go with it. Yeah. And always remember, it's a fact. Investors want to invest. So whenever you take a meeting with an investor, please go in with that confidence that if they're taking that meeting with you, they want to invest in you, unless you give them a reason not to. Yeah. Instead of thinking that you need to convince somebody, of course you need to convince them, but going in with the attitude that you have a shared interest, they want to invest, you want them to invest, really helps the setting the tone of a conversation. So I would always suggest, please go in with that confidence that yes, the other person wants to invest in you. So so make that happen. Yeah. Then think ahead. Think about the journey you are doing right now as part of your fundraising, but also what it will look like for the investor if they become a part of you. They give you the money. They will be riding the journey with you. Maybe not in running the operations, but at least the growth journey will mean something to them. So think ahead, convey that to the investors, and be able to articulate that. It may change. Nobody is saying that you have to articulate it and stick to it. Things change, plans adapt, but it's important at any point of time to know that you're going through a long journey, and then plan it. And ultimately, please be part of, think of it as an engagement, think of it as a learning process. Very interestingly, there was this founder that I was doing a road show with. We were doing investor meetings one after another, and I learned this from him. And every meeting he would come out of, and he would be super excited about, oh my God, I learned so much. And there was never a bad meeting for him, whether it turned into investment or not. It was fine, but he was fully engaged into every conversation. He learned about things. And I asked him after one particularly really bad meeting where we got rogered about all kinds of questions and left, right, and center. We didn't know what was happening. He was still happy. He's like, I learned 20 things and not to do. Right? I know 20, next time I know how to address these 20 questions. So I'll be prepared. It's very good. One of the best meetings ever. So have fun, enjoy, be engaged in the process, learn from the process. And I'm here. BeyondSeed is part of this journey with you. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Very happy to share my thoughts and any conversations you might have. Sarita, I'll give it back to you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Radhika, for such an insightful and engaging session, and obviously boosting our confidence for raising funds. I'm sure our participants are truly engaged and truly enriched by the knowledge and practical insights shared by you, and which will certainly help them in their startup journey ahead. Thank you so much, Radhika. So moving forward, we have now CA Gyan Chandra Mishra sir with us to address the participants. Welcome, sir. Very good evening. Here is a brief intro to Gyan Chandra Mishra sir. CA Gyan Chandra Mishra sir is a fellow chartered accountant with over 26 years of professional experience. A commerce graduate, law graduate, and qualified insolvency professional, he is also an associate member of ICSI. His dedicated journey with ICAI began at the Ghaziabad branch of CIRC, later extending to the Central India Regional Council, and today he serves as a Central Council member in his second consecutive term. He is the chairman of the Insolvency and Valuation Standard Board and the Committee on MSME and Startup, and also the vice chairman of the Peer Review Board, while also serving as Director Additional at the Indian Institute of Insolvency Professionals of ICAI. A distinguished speaker, he has addressed numerous forums on company law, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, standards on auditing, and new professional opportunities for chartered accountants. Founder of Gyan Ki Baat Foundation, he actively promotes knowledge sharing, mentorship, and social empowerment. Guided by the vision of a technologically advanced and globally respected professional, he continues to aspire CA fraternity through his leadership and service. So welcome, sir. I'd like to invite you to address the participants. Please join us. Over to you, sir.
So much thank you, Sarita, for such a wonderful and generous introduction of mine. Very distinguished speakers of today's program, of course, Tarun ji and Radhika ji. Shanu madam, I can see she has joined virtually, Kushal ji, and all the respected participants. Good evening to one and all. It's indeed a great pleasure and privilege to me to join such a wonderful webinar, which has been long due for about 3 months. And after we decided to have this NEXTLEAP, in this series, so many webinars have been conducted so far. Since I have joined in between the session, I will not take much time. I'll take 2-3 minutes only. Tarunji, a wonderful speaker and a fellow chartered accountant. He will address the participants with respect to the fundraising and its essential and key factors. As far as fundraising is concerned, my view is this is an art also and science also. Because when you present yourself and your company, this is an art, that how the data you are going to present before the investors. And when it comes, the quantum, the size, the future plans, then certainly some part of the science comes into the picture. When to raise, how much to raise is again very important. Valuation is another perspective, which is again a gray area in terms of the startups, where no such clear-cut formula could be applied that this is going to happen like this. No mathematical, accuracy could be there. Just an idea for which you want to generate the money by having something in your hand. But of course, having a better future, having better perspective. Today itself, we have seen that how Lenskart has made the money. In the social media, if somebody might have seen how one small amount could be from 200 crore to 80,000 crore. So this is the first thing in my view, that to identify the right investor at the right time and the right quantum of your size of business to disinvest with. And of course, most importantly, the valuation factor. This is the one thing I wanted to tell. The second thing, any business, if has any plan, I think this can never be short-term plan. The vision of the promoters are always long-term. And the consistency of performance should be in consonance with the vision of the promoters. So the another factor, what I think personally that is very important, to match your words to the deeds. The fund for what purpose you are raising, that should go in that purpose only. Otherwise, if you are not able to prove this very important factor and there is any dilution or diversion, probably your long-term objective and vision could not be met out. The third thing that I think that is again very important, that is with respect to the external environment. You can control your business, you can control your manpower, you can control your production, you can control your service, but certainly you can't control the eco-political system. You can't control any natural calamity. You can't control the unforeseen situations and unforeseen behavior of nature or sometime human generated as well. So that has also very much impact on fund generating. So to understand how much, when, what are the external forces, what are the internal key factors that are going to contribute and add in your decision making, and valuation, the most important perspective. So I think that today I have just, I was just listening Radhika for a few minutes. She has elaborated so many factors, and of course Tarunji, very learned speaker on the topic and well known in the industry, will be deliberating today. So I wish all the participants are very happy learning, not only learning, but of course take some thing which could really give you the path for your thought process, for your vision, and by which you can really generate the funds which could ultimately, make your business really flourish. I'll not take much time, as I understand that we have gathered to listen to very key speakers. The institute is very aggressively working in this committee. I'll take just 30 seconds more. We are trying at our end that we should contribute to the MSMEs and startup at the root level. And recently we had, about 1 week back only, we had one key stakeholders meet, which was attended by about 70 stakeholders across the country in Delhi. And stakeholders, that too, senior stakeholders. So Institute is eyeing that each and every business deserves to be successful, because the heart and soul and sweat the promoters and donors they give, that really makes a great sense to make them flourish. We are coming up with MSME and startup clinic across the country. All 183 branches will conduct every week one MSME clinic, that is also pro bono, that too pro bono. Not single rupee will be charged by chartered accountants. All the advisory services in the MSME clinic will be free of cost. We are trying that all the stakeholders come in that MSME clinic meet, and we have been assured by Government of India and other stakeholders, financial institutions, and key aids to the MSME segment, that they will join hands in making this happen in the country. So friends, India is certainly one of the country which is growing as economic superpower, and we people have a lot of potential, not only to become a successful business organization, but also to showcase ourselves as ethical business institutions in coming time. I compliment Singapore branch that they have arranged this entire show. And for last 3 months, I have witnessed how the team Singapore ICAI is working. So my good wishes to each participant, and my congratulations to Singapore team ICAI for making this show very effective and of course very objective for the startups ecosystem. Congratulations to one and all, and my good wishes. Good evening once again. Thank you very much.
A heartfelt thank you to CA Gyan Chandra Mishra sir for sharing his valuable insights on fundraising. Your thoughts on identifying the right investor at the right time, maintaining consistency in performance, having a long-term vision, and being mindful of the external factors truly gave us a practical perspective on sustainable growth. Thank you, sir, for your time and guidance.
Sarita, you are on mute.
Sorry. Just a second. Moving forward, our next speaker for today's session is CA Tarun Chaurasia, partner at PE Partners. So here is a brief introduction to CA Tarun Chaurasia, sir. He is a seasoned investment and finance professional with over 2 decades of experience across leading global institutions, including Fidelity, Citi Financials, and Rabobank Private Equity Fund. A chartered accountant and a company secretary, he currently serves at PE Partners, advising startups, MSMEs, and large corporates on fundraising, valuations, and investment structuring. He has played a key role in raising over $270 million across multiple funds and is also an ICAI faculty member, author, and regular speaker on finance and valuation at national forums. Let's enrich ourselves by listening to his insights on fundraising. Welcome, sir. Good evening. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sarita. And it's a pleasure to be here. Gyan sir, are you still there? All right.
Gyan sir is still here, but I
He's
think
mute,
he's
I
on
think.
mute. But sir is still here. Yeah.
Okay, I think I've met my first boss. If I remember correctly, he was in Bonanza portfolio 25 years back.
Wow. Long ago.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you, Radhika. I think you have summarized quite well given the investor's perspective. I really don't know whether I would be able to do justice with my presentation since we have heard from the horse's mouth, right? Well, I will try and do my best, bringing in the investors as well as the advisors' perspective both. So I prepared a presentation. It's a bit of a long presentation, and I'm very doubtful if I will be able to cover it in the next 1 hour. But let me see. So move to नहीं करते साथ में। इसको remove कर देता हूँ। Sorry, I'm just moving the slide. Give me a second. All right, next. All right. So I'm dividing the entire presentation in two parts. Part one is basically talking about the investor's journey, the investor process of evaluating the investment. And part two will be basically the founder's journey. Now, the reason I'm going back to the investor's process of evaluating the investment is that when it comes to fundraising strategy, it's extremely important for us to understand how investors really work behind the table. What's the process they evaluate, what's the process they work on, how do they evaluate the investment, what goes behind those exotic rooms, how do investment committee evaluate those investment, all that things, right? So I'll start with the investors perspective, and then we'll move on to the founders journey of fundraising. Okay, next. All right. So, in the market, you have various category of investors. As you can see on the screen, you've got incubators, accelerators, HNIs, angel networks, venture debt fund, family offices, crowdfunding platforms, pension funds, development financial institutions, P fund, impact fund, and too many more. It is extremely important for you as the founder, for us as a business advisor to know and understand each category of fund, because the way these investors operate is different from each other. Okay, take for an example that when it comes to you reach out to a VC fund, typically they focus on a very early stage of the investment, but once you reach out to a P fund, they typically focus on a more mature category of investment, right? So once you understand that what category of investors they are, you would be in a better position to make a pitch and reach to them. All right. So there are 18 steps, the 18 processes, wherein how the investors evaluate a particular investment. Okay. The first one is basically opening the door for opportunity. So just like you looking. So just like you as a business owner reaching out to an investor, pretty much similar to that, the investor is also reaching out and looking for opportunity to invest, because investing is their business, right? They have been constantly out attending conferences, seminars, staying in touch with the advisors and entrepreneurs and different forums. The idea is basically to scout for opportunities where they can invest. Investment thesis. Now, every investor has got an investment thesis. Investment thesis is basically represent the set of rules, policies, or basically the constitutional document of the investor, which becomes the basis for them to invest. They basically state that what category of sectors they would invest, what is the ticket size, what is the minimum ticket size, what is the maximum ticket size, what are those sectors where they will not invest, what category of businesses where they will not invest, and many more things as well, right? So every category of an investor has a peculiar investment thesis which is different from another investor. Next. Now, with all kinds of deals in the market, all kinds of promoters and founders trying to reach out to various category of investors, I guess the important part on the part of investor is they are looking for an opportunity to invest, which can exponentially grow, right, and create multi-x return for them for the next 6-7 years. Next. All right, the first conversation. So this is a stage when you send your pitch deck to prospective investors. Most likely the front end analyst would be in a position to review it. And this is the time when you would have first conversation with the investors. The whole idea is basically to get a basic understanding of the deal and the investment. And next. All right, this is the step number 5. Basically, once the analyst has reviewed your pitch deck, he's actually looking for more information. He is looking for more documents. He's looking for business information, financial information, and many more things. The whole idea of securing more information from a promoter is actually to evaluate whether this investment opportunity is a good opportunity or it should be rejected. Okay, that's the second meeting, assuming that analyst is broadly okay with the deal, and this is the point in time he will then involve his senior, which is primarily the fund manager, who will join in the discussion. So it's the fund manager and the analyst which form part of the deal team, and they together will get into the conversation with the promoter with an idea to make a decision and a call whether it's a good deal or not a good deal. Next. All right, the next step is, as I said, that the fund manager and the analyst together forms a deal team. And once they have received the necessary amount of information and documents from you, they will internally discuss between themselves whether it meets the criteria of the investment or not, whether it's a good deal or not a good deal, whether he should invest more time onto it or not, so on and so forth. Next. All right, investment note. It's basically nothing but a pitch deck which is prepared by the deal team and submitted to the investment committee for approval. It is pretty much similar to a pitch deck which is prepared by you as business owners, and then you submit it to the investors, with the expectation that it will get approved. Next. All right, investment committee review. Once the deal team submit a proposal to the investment committee, it's a time for the investment committee to review the proposal in detail. Investment committee is primarily comprised of multiple members. They are the representative of LPs, they are the representative of general partners, and also sometimes the external experts as well. So once the proposal is received by the IC, they deliberate upon the proposal and then take a call whether it should be invested or it should not be invested. IC in every fund is primarily the sole authority which takes the decision whether it should be invested or not. All right, assuming that IC approves the investment, the next process is basically signing the term sheet. What is term sheet? Term sheet is nothing but basically a memorandum of understanding between an investor and an investee company. It captures the brief summary of the understanding agreed with the promoter. How much is the total amount of investment? What would be the valuation? What is the financial instrument to be used? What is the equity stake that you're going to take? What are the reserve rights and other terms and conditions? So this is the first formal document which comes into the picture, which is signed by the investor as well as the promoter. Next, please. All right. Once the term sheet is signed, the next step is basically the investor will appoint due diligence auditors. So they will appoint a legal auditor, they will appoint a finance auditor, they will appoint a tax auditor. Maybe if it is an impact investment, they will appoint an ESG auditor. They will also appoint a business auditor as well. They will also get into the financial modeling. And once the respective auditors have completed their job, these auditors will submit the report to the investors for review. Once the next. All right. So these DD reports are basically like an auditor's report, which is submitted by the DD auditor. It is submitted not to the promoter or founder, but it is submitted to the investors. Next. So the deal team, the investment team is basically review the DD reports in details and they look for any red flags, if any, highlighted by the DD auditor. Next, please. This is the second stage of the IC approval. So basically the due diligence has been completed, red flags has been raised, and we go back to the IC and looking for a second stage of approval. This is the final clearance from the investment committee, which basically, it's a decision of the investment committee. You should go ahead or you shouldn't go ahead. And that's the time when you actually get into the legal framework. The IC has approved the investment, and it's time for you to actually appoint your lawyer who will build the shareholders and subscription agreements, and the agreement will be signed. Next, please. Now, once the agreement is signed, it's time for the GP, the general partner, to send a capital call notice to rest of the LPs. On the basis of the capital call notice, the LPs will contribute for the investment. The funds get collated at one place with the GP, and that's how the investments are made. Next, please. All right, once the funds are put in place, it's time to transfer the fund to the investee committee. Next. And the day when you receive the fund, you hold a board meeting on the very same day. The representative of the investors will attend the board meeting. You will allot the shares. The money has already been credited to the investing company bank account. And that's how the entire investment got completed, right? So basically, it's quite a long process from an investor's perspective. And don't take this entire process with a pinch of, take this entire process with a pinch of salt. Some very small funds, let's say a fund sizes of just 5 crore, 10 crores, they might skip one or two processes in between, but largely this is how investments are evaluated by the investors globally. That's what we have been doing it. We have done it in the previous private equity fund for over 12 years. Next. All right, how much time we have? All right, let's talk to the founder's journey. All right, this is the book which I wrote and got published few months before. It's available globally on Amazon. Just a bit of marketing at my end. Next. 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 Go back. All right. I guess for every founder, for every business owner, it is extremely important for you to know that what stage of the business you are, right? Why do you need to know the stage of your business? Because if you don't know the stage of your business, you will not be able to decide which category of investors I need to target, right? Are you at an idea stage? Are you at an MVP stage? Has your product been launched? Are you in early stage of your business? Is your business is mature? Is it EBITDA positive? Is it revenue generating? And there could be many more stages actually, which will help you, which will guide you in the process of your fundraising, and you will be in a better position to target your investor community. Next. All right. All right. So, a very pertinent and important question that every founder, every business owner needs to ask: that is it the right time for you to raise fund? I mean, if you go and see in the market, every founder left and right is reaching out to all category of investors across the globe. You will find investors' LinkedIn inbox is flooded with messages. Their email is flooded with pitch decks. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are living in an ecosystem where every founder, every business owner is thinking that one day, someday, some angel investor will actually save me. Unfortunately, this is not the case. You've got to really focus on building your business first. That's the way it is, right? Once you build your business, funding is an automatic process. It will come to you. Second important point that you need to keep in mind that the high risk of early stage funding. So you're in a very, very early stage of funding and you raise, let's say, just $1 million, and you will end up giving a very, very high equity stake, let's say 20%, which essentially what I'm trying to say that at an early stage of your business, your valuation of your business is very, very, very high. So you need to be very, very cautious, very, very clear at what time of the business that you're actually going at and raising funds. FOMO, I guess we keep hearing a lot of news here and there that that particular founder, that particular business have received the funding, and you think that everybody is getting the funding. Unfortunately, it is not the case. Out of 200, out of 300, 400 founders reaching out to the investors, only one, two, or three of them gets funding, and those people who gets the funding actually get highlighted. So don't go by the FOMO trap, build on to your business whenever it is the right time for you that you should be going out and raise the funds. Next. All right. Good. Uh, All right. I think let's go back 2021, right after the COVID. This is the time when technology was playing a big role in terms of the investments. Almost, everything turned tech. Instead of an education sector, we were calling it ed tech. Similarly, we have, real estate, technology in the real estate and other sectors as well. Now, a lot of ideas got funded in the year 2021, right? And then 2022, there was a lot of backfire. current situation in 2025 is that if you're holding with an idea, no matter how good the idea is, trust me that you're not going to get funding. Very, very exceptionally, in a very, very high exceptional case, that you would be getting the funding. So don't just go out in the market on the basis of the idea and expect that somebody will fund to you, right? It's extremely important that there has to be a proof of capability, right? Because investors wanted to mitigate their risk. You should have a scalable model, and execution is the key at the end of the day, right? No matter how good your idea is, it's the execution which takes the front seat. So when we start the business, right, as a founder, as a startup owner, everybody thinks that, I will do wonders, one day I will become unicorns. Nobody start a business with a thought that it will not work. Still, we all end up making a lot of mistakes. So it is advisable that we need to consult with our mentors, with our, industry experts, and talk to them about our business idea, talk to them about our business model, talk to them about how do we go ahead and raise funds. They will be able to help you out, and they will be able to take care of your mistakes. Take for an example of evaluation, right? When we receive the pitch deck in the market, right, it's in very, very early stage of the business, and you see, they're looking for evaluation like 25 million, 30 million, 50 million. And when you look at their numbers, which is the top line and the bottom line, it's not even 1 crore, right? So people are carrying very, very high expectation in terms of the valuation. Similarly, if you have the right mentor and the expert by your side, you would be in a position to actually structure your fundraising approach. When I'm talking about structuring your fundraising approach, I'm precisely talking about he will guide you which category of investors you should reach out, right? What is the right time for what is the right time for a fundraise for you? What is the right stage of the business for you to raise fund, and many more things as well. And these experts with an experience of 20 plus years, I'm sure you will be able to learn a lot from their mistakes. So it's extremely important that when you're working on your idea and in the very, very beginning of your business stage, you should definitely consult your mentors and experts. Back to basics, a very fundamental question that everybody is looking for an equity, and everybody think that equity is free. Equity is not free. Equity is an extremely, extremely expensive instrument, right? Now it's a chicken and egg story, right? The founders say that if I get money, I would be able to increase my top line. At the same time, the investors say increase your top line and then come back to me, right? So in between, founders may not have the liquidity. At the same time, they may not be uh, their business is not capable enough for them to generate debt fund, as simple as that, right? But having said that, one should always consider that if there is any way for you to secure debt, that is the best form of financial fundraising for you. And I would say that you should delay your equity fundraise and try and secure debt. That would be the better form of funding because equity is quite expensive. Why not strategic? Everybody is looking for a financial investor right now. The world of venture capital and private equity, they are all financial investors. They are hardcore financial investors. They are all looking for numbers and scalable business models. If your numbers are not good, your business model is not good, I'm sure you will have rejection after rejection. So it's extremely important, and give it a thought कि अगर मैं अपने इंडस्ट्री के किसी स्ट्रेटेजिक इन्वेस्टर्स को पिच करूं, the chances of somebody investing into your business is very, very high because that strategic investor who comes from your industry would be in a position to better understand your product, better understand your services, better understand your business model. So always look for any strategic investor than financial investors. That's my advice to you as next. All right. At the end of the day, what matters is a solid business plan. As I said, that if you build your business, funding is an auto process, right? Every VC investors is looking for exponential growth. They have a long-term vision for a minimum of 5 years, and that goes up to 6, 7, or 8 years as well. They're all looking for an exponential growth. While you build your business plan, I think the important elements that you need to capture is this market opportunity, whether the business model is scalable or not. You need to build your financial projection, what's your growth strategy, and what's our risk mitigation strategies at the same time. A solid business plan is the foundation of your fundraising success here. Next. Next. All right. This is the most common mistake by the founders and business owners, that how much capital you should raise, right? Now, it's a little tricky, let's say little tricky question with a tricky answer. Should I raise, $500,000? Should I raise $2 million, or maybe more than that? I guess the answer lies in the financial model. Once you learn how to build a financial model, you will be in a better position to actually forecast your cash crunch or your surplus liquidity. That's the only way you will be able to get to know about how much fund you should raise and at what point in time. Because if you take too much of capital, it is a problem to you. If you take too less capital, it is a problem to you, right? So looking for an optimum amount of capital raise is an extremely important part in the entire fundraising journey. Yes, please. Go back. All right, pitch deck. Now, I'm sure Google is filled with what you should be capturing in your pitch deck. We can keep talking about you should capture the market opportunity, market size, financials, business plans, fundraising, utilization plan, how much fund. There are many more. You can keep adding your slide. The only point which I wanted to make here is you need to keep it very, very simple and easy and start thinking like an investor, right? The day you start thinking like an investor, you would be able to do justice with your pitch deck. Don't try to build glamorous pitch deck. Don't try to be ambiguous in your information. Keep it simple, straight. Don't hide any information. It doesn't solve any purpose. It just end up wasting time of an investor. So what is teaser? Teaser is nothing but it's a summary document of a pitch deck. So let's say if your pitch deck is running into 20 pages, you basically summarize that pitch deck and build it, let's say, into maximum 2 or 3 pages. Now, why teaser is important, right? You need to understand that every investor is extremely occupied and busy, right? They have been evaluating investment opportunities. They have been busy with preparation of their investment note, which needs to be submitted to the investment committee, and many more things. So every investor, let's say, getting 10 different emails from 10 different founders, and every founder is sending left and right the pitch deck and a lot of information. They don't have time to actually go through that detailed level of information. So if you prepare a crisp document, let's say 1 or 2 pager, which capture the meaningful and relevant information which investor is ideally looking to view. You need to punch in that information. You don't need to punch on the information which you think is right. So as long as you are able to capture the meaningful information, you will be able to capture the attention of the investor, and this is your first filter in terms of your interaction with the prospective investor. All right, what is financial modeling? Financial modeling is not just preparation of balance sheet, profit and loss account, or a cash flow statement. It is not just the annual accounts. financial modeling is way beyond the annual accounts. It is not just learning Excel. It is way beyond that. It's basically a detailed exercise which takes which wherein you need to uh, uh, take input from the founders and business owners, that how he or she perceive the business, how they're going to see the business moving for year after year. You need to link those cells and build a model which is robust. The whole idea of building a financial model is primarily that if tomorrow you want to change a variable, everything should automatically change. It work and help you to build a scenario analysis as well. What happen if this doesn't work? What happen if that doesn't work? And that's the whole purpose of financial model. As I said, it is not just the balance sheet, it is not just the P&L, it is much more and beyond that. All right, valuation, a never-ending battle between a promoter and an investor. The promoter or the founder is always asking for more and more. At the same time, the investor is always trying to bring it down. The question is, how do you reach to a number which is a reconciliation of understanding between two of you? I guess uh, while there are too many valuation methods in the market, you can use DCF, you can use multiple methods, and there are many more methods actually. The game of winning the valuation is basically the data. If you're able to produce data to a prospective investor and you're able to substantiate your working, that how you have arrived on that particular number, you will be able to negotiate better. Now, what happened in the market, that majority, not majority, 98, 99% of the founders in the market, everybody is prepared discounted cash flow methods of valuation. They have those unrealistic figures year after year, and they discount those figures to bring the present value, and that's how we reach to the number. Now, DCF is subject to a lot of critics. Every single number that you get to see in the Excel sheet, it's largely unrealistic. You change one number, the entire valuation change. So if you can work more, you can also work on the latest deal which has been concluded in your particular sector. If you can collate that data, if you can collate the data of listed companies, which is a peer set for you, plus the DCF. So the more the working is, the better you will be in a position to actually negotiate on the valuation front. All right, multi-million question, that how do you reach to how do you research an investor thesis? As I said, investors investment thesis is nothing but a set of rules, policies, or a constitutional document for an investor to invest, right? Now, it's like, you should not be reaching out to an investor without reading their investment thesis. You need to know whether this particular investor invest in this particular sector or not, what is the ticket size of the investors, what kind of a businesses it doesn't invest, in what kind of deals it has already invested. Once you have a fair understanding about the investment thesis, you will be in a better position to plan your fundraising strategy. So what you need to do, you need to visit their website, read about the thesis, browse their LinkedIn profile, read about the Google News, because every time a fund is launched, the first close, the second close, and the final close, there is a news clip. And in the news clip, the investor is talking about their investment philosophy, their investment policy, and you will be able to get a feeler of that. Okay, this particular invest intended to make investment in such and such areas, in such and such particular sectors, right? You also need to study the past investments. And last but not the least, you can actually subscribe for a database which gives you a summary information on that. How do you get connected with the prospective investors? Now, everybody is holding a list of investors in Excel sheet. If you browse Google, you will get a list of investors, 200, 300, 400, 500. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn who are also selling, not selling, but intended to share the investors list. I guess it's quite a time consuming task, frankly speaking, because if you start sending cold email, you just source a email database, attach your pitch deck, and you send it like a cold message. High likelihood that your email is not going to be viewed. High likelihood, even if it is viewed, the investor is not going to answer that. So you need to build that relationship. Networking. LinkedIn is a fantastic platform where you can build relationship, reach out to the investor, send us introductory message, get connected, try and exchange your email. It takes time. Don't expect everything happens overnight here, right? You also need to attend conferences and networking events. You need to also use referrals. You need to also take the help of investment advisors. And there are many more ways wherein you actually get connected with the investors. So please, more importantly, don't send cold emails, cold messages. It is not going to work at all. Nobody like those cold messages and emails. Next. All right, we are on time and we have time for questions.
Hi, Saita, before the question,
Yeah.
for the Q&A, we have CA Arpit Kabraji with us. So maybe let's go with sir's intro first and address to the participants, and then we do the Q&A.
First, I would like to say thank you to Tarun sir for your insightful session on decoding the investment game and the detailed 18 steps of investment. Your guidance on founder's journey, the different stages of business cycle, and understanding the investor's thesis and many other aspects, I think, offered immense clarity to our participants. And the main takeaway was your advice to think like an investor. So thank you, sir, for your guidance. And I'm sure that our participants may explore and read your book to get deeper insights. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
And moving forward, we have CA Arpit Kabra sir with us today. Let me introduce sir to our participants. He is a young and visionary leader who has made a remarkable impact in finance, forensic auditing, accounting, and leadership. Currently serving as one of the youngest Central Council member of ICAI, he exemplifies innovation and commitment to the profession. As a chairman of WIRC of ICAI for the term 2023 to 2024, he spearheaded technology-driven reforms, skill development initiatives, and programs empowering young professionals and students. His efforts have significantly strengthened professional learning, ethical leadership, and career opportunities within the fraternity. Known for his tech-savvy and solution-oriented mindset, CA Kabra is recognized for redefining approaches to forensic accounting, corporate governance, and business restructuring, setting new benchmarks for the next generation of chartered accountants. Welcome, sir. So, Kushal, right now we will have the question and answer.
We will have sir to address the participants and add
Okay.
his view on the fundraising. Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, we welcome you and please address our participants. Over to
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Sarita. And good evening, everyone out there on this interesting webinar on the ThinkLeap. Thank you, everyone. Anuradha, the chairperson of ICAI Singapore Chapter, Kushal, the secretary, Gyan Mishra, sir, I think, who have already spoken from MSME committee, and I think the learned faculty for today, Tarun ji and Radhika ji. I think both of you've really given amazing insights on, giving a perspective to this discussion is much more important. So thank you very much. I'm delighted here. And Sarita, since you want to take some questions quickly, what I'll do is I'm playing a role of a filler so that, people can now start quickly typing them, think about what all Tarunji has mentioned. And I would just give you an insight on, what's really happening in this world. See, everyone's been talking about, using our use of social media, for example, on a scale which is actually deteriorating our focus and our time availability and all of this. But it is we who invented this lovely engine called social media. After gathering from Tarunji, one thing that I understand is, there are things out there to happen. When we've got so many cases of startups and we've get so many cases of entrepreneurs who have failed regularly to raise funds and eventually they have made it large. And taking cue from all of these, and plus one thing that most of you haven't realized yet is ICAI is one of the biggest frameworks that can help startups, entrepreneurs. ICAI has connects with almost anyone and everyone in this country. ICAI has MOUs with almost multiple states, with almost big incubators, and more importantly, relevant people also. We've not actually used this as a organization because you need to understand ICAI, this committee of startup and MSME has been working only and only for the focus of chartered accountants and entrepreneurs. But in that space, and we've reached out to so many people. And as Tarunji mentioned, do not do not put yourself in that cold mails and cold calling and all of that stuff. See, as a chartered accountant, you all need to do is connect effectively, network effectively. Most of you who would be on this program today can drop a message to Tarunji saying that we heard you. And one thing on his presentation that really mattered you the most, if you write that and have a conversation, Tarunji will be interested and will, instead of just saying we heard you, we like this, we like that, all of that, which everyone would say. But one thing that you pick up and then you talk to him, that becomes an effective communication. And then probably you can ask and make sense of this conversation by saying that, can you help me connect with XYZ or so and so and so. So I'm sure nobody would mind that, because if the product is really wonderful, if the service, if the solution is something wonderful, I think that is there. I would say five from my experience out here in Mumbai. I'm part of this part of the country, but now as a central council member, I've been traveling throughout. In the past 7 months that we've done, so we've done multiple states, we've done multiple incubators, we've done large investors, private equity, and everyone. So I believe there is a huge resource pool available in this country. And now with Singapore also tying up, imagine when they are also keen and interested in some of the good products who are here and they could be funded. All you need to do is just put yourself in that right shoe. I have seen TechCrunch, I've seen Beta List, I've seen VentureBeat, Y Combinator, 500. These are some amazing places where you can actually walk in and get help and get assistance at whatever level. I'll tell you in the lines of one of the most, the brainchild of our Honorable Home Minister is a school which is RRU, Rashtriya Raksha University, and the dean in that school mentioned that when it came to talk about when the Home Ministry wanted that we create a warrior, we create an army to protect this country from cyber frauds and securities. The one person whom we thought we should reach out to is chartered accountant, because of our independence, because of our integrity, because of our ethical values, and because of what we stand today as a social fabric conscience keeper. Now in that space, when you evolve as an entrepreneur, when you come out as a startup and bring a solution, bring a if there is a vacuum and if you try and fill in that place, believe me, you are one of the most preferred persons to do so. And therefore, this becomes much more important for all of us to understand ICAI as a network is very meaningful and is very large. All you need to do is effectively engage, effectively network. As I say, you need to touch, move, and inspire. So touch those relevant points, move yourself so that you can actually go and interact with them. So, for example, if Anuradha is there, or Kushal is there, or Sarita, or anyone, Gyanji is there, Shanu is here. they all are very rich in their connection resources. But until unless they know that there is someone called Tarunji, or there is someone called them who actually wants us to come and talk to them, it wouldn't work. So I think, and Tarunji, thank you for creating a very lovely conversation actually. These slides, although simple as they look like, but has a very important impact if actually used for brainstorming. So I would request all of you to please do brainstorm. Attend most of our events. ICI is doing these events. When you talked about effective networking, I would want to actually question most of you. When you attend those events, how many of you actually make 10 new connections every time that you go? We are largely in our own groups, talking to them and then move ahead. That is not how it will work. That is not how it will function. And it's as simple as that. We need to actually go beyond and tell them that yes, I have this product, I have this service, and I'm here to offer this product and service to you. And we are looking for some good investors, potential people who can really, with a good mindset, come along. And there's no harm in that. You're a chartered accountant, you've earned a degree, which only 4 lakh people in this entire 140 crore population has. So you are anyways one of the rare breeds of this country and one of the best minds of this country. And when you say about all of this, I'm sure no one will be offended or will take it otherwise. But yes, make sense out of it and make it relevant out of it, relevant of your time. So with these words, thank you very much. I think Singapore chapter, always in awe of the work that you do. As when I was a WRC chairman, we've done a lot of joint programs. We've hosted a lot of events, and we've got a lot of conversations also going on. And I'm sure with this initiative, we'll get some good startups, and we could get some funds from Singapore. Maybe the next Bini Bansal or Sachin Bansals would out be here also as well, and we would see some wonderful solutions, wonderful products coming out. But follow some good accounts. I would suggest a quick 30 or 40-second reel on Instagram on startups should be your daily diet, because in short, the more you hear, you will get inspired. And as Tarunji mentioned, it's all about stories now. It's all about learning from mistakes. It's all about learning from experiences. It's not gonna be something that is in the textbook, and there's no exam that you have to write. Once you've done a chartered accountancy exam, one of the most toughest in the country or on the globe, perhaps you don't have to write anyone other than that. So with these words, thank you very much. Let's have some questions. Happy to answer if there are any. Please, all the audience, you may write those questions, and you may specify if you want some of us to answer them. Otherwise, Tarunji will be the only authority to answer them, I believe. Over to you, Sarita.
Thank you, Arpit. I think ICI is doing a fantastic job, especially what I heard that the MSME clinic thing, which is coming
Oh,
across
yes.
the country, it's incredible. I mean, it's a fantastic initiative. But let's take up some questions, I guess, and let's interact a little bit with the audience if we have time.
Yeah. Before moving to Q&A session, I'd like to thank you, Arpit sir, for shedding light on how ICI and the Committee on MSME and Startup are working tirelessly to support and empower CA fraternity in their journey, in their startup journey, and also for giving us the valuable real world lessons on the importance of effective networking. Thank you, sir, for your time and your guidance. So
Sarita
now
ji,
we are moving.
Before you take up those questions, and Tarunji will be very happy to know today 183 branches in the country of ICI are potentially incubation centers for all startups. They are all converted into potential, because if you happen to reach to say a smallest place, any say Ghaziabad, where Gyanji comes from, and if you go and talk about anyone that I need to connect someone in say Lucknow, I need to go say in Coimbatore or Chennai, the branch network will help you do that.
Arpit, I'll add one thing here. I was reading this morning. In the last 2 quarters, I guess investors have raised somewhere around $4 to $6 billion, and close to about $100 billion of dry powders is there in the market. So capital is not an issue.
It's not an
Like
issue. Yes.
the number of investors has gone 50x in the last 5 years. Like छोटे funds जो है बहुत सारे आ गए हैं. So money is not an issue. It's just that people are looking for solid business models, the quality of the deals. If you speak to any of these investors, everybody say, यार mails तो बहुत आती हैं, pitch deck तो बहुत आते हैं, but हमको सारे reject करने पड़ते हैं. 9 out of 10 they say no upfront. That's a big problem.
True, absolutely true. So let's use this network to all the people out here from this platform. I want to request, keep bouncing us, keep reaching out to us. And these clinics are, all the branches of ICAI are right now literally potential incubators. All right, let's go ahead, Sarita ji. You've got questions now.
Yeah. So we have few questions. The one is from Pankaj Podar. Hello, Tarun sir. I am associated with poultry industries for last 15 years, even auditing so much firms in these industries. Now I have collected best resources from industries and developed a orderless eggs need
Incubation and funding strategy.
Yeah. Sir, please enlighten.
Amazing, Tarunji. They've got something called as odorless eggs. So what is your idea?
The question? What's the question exactly?
Let me do that, Sarita. So Pankaj Podar, one of our audience, one of our members says that he's associated with poultry industries for the last 15 years, and he's been auditing so many firms in this industry. So he's got a sector experience as well. Now he's collected best resources from industries and developed odorless eggs.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he needs incubation and funding strategy. So if you can help him.
All right. So in one of my slide, I very clearly mentioned that why not as strategic investors? The reason I always say this, that when you reach out to a prospective VC investors, everybody is looking for where exactly have you reached, what have you done, what's your numbers, right? And do you have proof of execution, blah blah blah. The analyst from the front end will be talking to you. He will be asking you some hard numbers, and you won't have those numbers, right? अगर आपको लगता है आपने कुछ क्रिएटिव बनाया है, आई डोंट कम फ्रॉम पोल्ट्री इंडस्ट्री, सो आई वोंट बी एबल टू कमेंट whether it's an innovation or not an innovation, whether it's a creative product or not a creative product, but somebody from the poultry industry will be able to do justice with your this creativity and innovation that I'm talking about. So if you come to me for an advice, I would say, instead of going to a prospective VC investors, why don't you approach, there's so many big companies out there in the market. Why don't you approach one of these companies and present your creativity to them? And I'm sure they will be able to do justice in terms of what you have done, right? So try and secure some investment from a prospective, strategic investors than financial investors. That should be your first point of action. And obviously, as a second line, you can, there are too many incubation centers, too many accelerators. You can always reach out to them as well, but your first prime area of action should be the strategic investor for such kind of creativity that you brought to the table.
All right, wonderful. So I think that's a great take on, and maybe that strategic investor would then also help in raising funds and everything. So there's Mijo George who's asked the question: is there anything like an ideal ownership dilution level, and what are the factors that affect the decision regarding ownership dilution?
Well, there is no ideal ownership level as such. The investors are taking anything from, let's say, 1% that goes up to 25%. Recently, one of these startup got funding from the government startup program. They've got very small funding of 25 lakh rupees, and they diluted just 1.5%, right? If you reach out to a VC investor, people say, okay, I'll give you 50 lakh rupees, but I will take 20%. Some of them are very straight and clear cut deal. Every deal is unique. Every company is unique. Every investor is unique. There is no formula, whether it is 1% or 20%, depends upon the amount of money that you're raising. It depends upon the valuation that you're commanding. It depends upon the timing of your fundraise. It depends upon the stage of your business. There is no clear cut answers to this. There is no mathematical formula which you can apply and say, okay, this is what should be the ideal equity dilution. It doesn't work that way.
Got it.
It's more a situational thing, I think. I believe
It's a
ownership
commercial,
dilution.
it's a negotiation between two sets of people sitting across the table. It's kind of a little bit driven from a demand and supply thing, right?
Right. He's asked another question: among the various fundraising methods for an identified investor, like equity, debentures, convertible, non-convertible, preference shares, etc., which one would be ideal for the founder? The factors affecting the decisions regarding the same. Okay. So which,
Right.
according to which is a good for a founder, which is an ideal fundraising method?
Well, again, there is no clear-cut answer to it. I'm sorry, I have to say this, but because that's the truth. Now, let go back to the basics. We are talking about equity versus debt. Okay. Now there is third instrument which comes in between, which is a convertible instrument, which takes the features of equity as well as debt. We could call it CCPS or convertible debentures and convertible note, which ultimately at the end of the day, they will be converted into equity as well. Now, if you think from an investor perspective, and if the investors invest direct into equity on day one, he is at the big risk, right? So that's the reason he wants to protect his risk. He wants to invest through a convertible instrument for some time and then to convert it at a later stage, right? Now, think it from a founder's perspective, right? If he gives the entire equity upfront, लेट्स से आपने 20% उसको दे दिया आज की डेट के अंदर, राइट? और 2 साल बाद जो है your company is not growing, it's not working out. So essentially, in a way, you can call it that equity was a free money in that sense, because there was no convertible instrument, there is no interest cost, there is no financial cost. So it's a bit of a situation. Whether you should take equity or you should take a convertible instrument, it depends upon the situation again. There are plus and minus.
And we should learn from some market experiences. Like, for example, let me take the example of Future Group. For example, they were so much leveraged and they never raised equity, and in the end it was not worth the entire risk. So as a promoter, as a founder, I think you'll also have to maybe take a call on how closely guarded your secrets are, that X factor, how strong it is with only with you, so that no one else could replace you in the market.
Frankly speaking, the founders won't have the option to choose the instrument. It is the investor who decides. Let's be practical about it.
Absolutely right.
उनको अगर convertible preference share देना है तो देना है. That's not you're not a tutor here, right? उन्होंने equity decide करा है तो equity है, note decide कर रहा है तो note है, right? You take it, whatever is been given to you, unless you are really a big boy and you command some premium from the market and you have the capability to demand something out of it, which is like 1 out of 100 deals. These are those mature deals that I'm talking about. In the startup space, you've been given an agreement. Here is the shareholder agreement. Okay, take it. Very, very limited chances of actually getting the same edited, being reviewed by your lawyer. That's the practical reality.
Great.
Hi,
So welcome,
We
if I
also
may-
have Radhika.
Yeah,
if I
We
may-
also have Radhika with us.
Yeah, welcome Radhika,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you would have a take on this. I can see
Yeah,
it
no,
from
I
your
was
smile.
hearing
So
very
yes.
valid, very valid points from you, Arpit ji and Tarun ji, and I was listening to that. So ऐसा नहीं है. Sometimes investors also listen to founders, and we come to a common ground as well on what instrument works best for them. And I think the idea is that if a strategic investor comes in, they ultimately are aligning their interests with that of the founder. So it really doesn't have to be two different sides of the table trying to negotiate and pulling in on their side. Constructive conversations also happen. And also another angle that probably founders might want to consider between a direct equity round या फिर convertible is are they ready to put a valuation number to their company? So an direct equity round by necessity means कि you will have to define a valuation. A convertible round, sometimes there are structures you can do where you don't have to value your company today. You can have a valuation done at a next round or at a later stage, but you get the funds today with certain terms which include things like discount to the next round. So if as a business you think that getting valued, putting a valuation number today will put you at a disadvantage, you don't want to do that. You might want to take the money, but then get a valuation done after 12 months perhaps, and then give a benefit to the early investors by giving them a discount to that valuation. Because sometimes it becomes important whether you want to put a number tag of valuation on your company or not. So that might be a criteria to decide whether you can do an equity round this time or not. And if the investors are flexible, they are okay to do an unvalued round. That we have seen that some founders prefer that, given the stage they are at.
No, so you mean to say that equity is usually ideal for a founder to raise?
No, not necessarily. See, if I am at a stage where I think my business KPIs and numbers are not ideal, and I can do much better
Yes.
conversion in 12 months, तो आज मुझे जो value मिलेगा versus what I can get after 12 months, that will give better number
when you
to
raise
me.
it to equity, yes.
Yeah. So I don't have to force
So,
myself
but
to
debt
put
also
down.
is a trap, no? So debt is also a trap because of the high interest cost or whatever servicing debt. You might not even survive that entire cycle.
So it can be convertible shares also.
Yes.
The CCPS or a safe note. US में safe note is the structure that gets used.
Safe note,
So,
okay.
So they are basically, you don't define a valuation today. You don't necessarily have an interest that you have to service, but it defines that next valuation round, whenever happens, the current investors will get certain discount.
Okay, interesting.
Because you're obviously supporting the company before anybody else is doing, so you should have some advantage to future investors. So that's why the discount, but it delays your valuation cycle.
Arpit, it's like the convertible instrument always goes in favor of an investor because majority of over 90% of the founders and business owners who submit their projections, like in 95% of the cases, never meets. You will say, I'm at 1 crore and then 10 crore and then 50 crore and then 100 crore, right? And that's where the catch is.
Interesting. So largely, therefore, it's again subjective and good explanations given. I think cases have been defined, so I think that will help. The question that has been asked, and so almost everyone has written that we need the PPTs of Tarun ji and Radhika ji. I don't know what usually they do with this, but I would really recommend and I would request all the audience to try and recollect from what have you done. Make sure you've made some points. That is what more helpful. The PPT, I don't know, will really help you or not because the content is what is important. That will come to you in any case. I think the Singapore chapter would ensure. Kushal, we will do that, right? You have the list of people who are there.
Just a quick interruption, Pete. I have a question, if time allows.
Yes, Sanjay ji, I'll just take a question. Once I'm just taking.
I have already shared my PPT.
Perfect, done. All right.
Yeah, Kushal is not here, I think here.
So we'll be done.
We will send all the presentations to all the email IDs registered with us for this webinar.
Thank you, Sarita ji.
Presentation. Yeah.
Right. All right. Mr. Jangid, we'll have a question from you. Please come again.
Thank you. Thank you, Arpit. Just to picking up your last point, Tarun sir, especially on the projection side, and that was my question when he started the deck on that. So we are basically consciously a startup, and the thought I have as a startup journey only now I see a lot of the perspective as an investor by means of this panel over there. My question for the projection side, honestly, we go through an early stage when I pitched out some of the investment part. The projection is something in a part of templating, but honestly as a founder, I have some question on it. Why the projection? Because if you rightly said it's an unrealistic number. When my team asks me, or Sanjay, what do you want to? I need to be very lucrative. Otherwise, my investor will lose the action. But I see, can it be possible by means of that chunk of the money? Because early investment is not as much as my projection suggests out. The last point you raised my above is that part the projection is something relevant to CCPS because I had my very short of the round with CCPS. So I guess it's some relevant to the CCPS, the conversion discount, something on it. So my question over to you, what should be my Bible for a projection? It looks realistic and in favor of the as a startup as well, so that I can mitigate the things should be realistic, go to ahead and can crack the deal as well?
Yeah, yeah. So interesting question, and I can get it where exactly you're coming from. You see, it is the founders who make the numbers unrealistic. Okay, nobody is expecting unrealistic numbers. uh, Somehow founders and business owners have those belief कि अगर मैं सीधा 1 करोड़ से 10, 10 से 50, 50 से 100 दिखाऊंगा तो उससे इन्वेस्टर इम्प्रेस हो जाएगा और उसको फंडिंग मिल जाएगी. आई एम सॉरी, दैट्स नॉट द केस, राइट? Investors are also equally smart, talented, and experienced, right? When they receive that hockey level projections, they bring it down substantially basis their learning and experiences. So first and foremost, you should be realistic, right? There is no point, and especially considering that majority of the investors invest on the basis of a convertible instrument, right? That convertible instrument is actually linked with your performance. कि अगर आप 100 अचीव कर रहे हो, so let's say my equity will be 15%. बट गलती से आप 100 अचीव नहीं कर पाए, आपने 100 बोला था और वो 100 ना होके वो लेट्स से 70 हो गया, 60 हो गया, द इक्विटी विल गो अप. आई हैव पर्सनली डेल्ट विद एन इन्वेस्टमेंट जहां पे हमने वी हैड इन्वेस्टेड 70 crores of rupees and we end up taking technically we were eligible for 70% of the stake because they could not perform, but we didn't want to be a majority investors there. We said हमको 49% दे दो, हमको इससे ज्यादा नहीं चाहिए, right? So it doesn't go in your favor at all if you create and submit hockey presentation. It doesn't work that way. Maybe Radhika would have some point here.
Yeah, no, absolutely aligned with you, Tarunji. We've seen a lot of presentations. It's not like we take and eat what is served to us. So there's a lot of due diligence, fact checking, and benchmarking that we also do on what we receive, whether the numbers are realistic, achievable, etc. or not. And if anything, if there are extra zeros added for the sake of it, it puts the founders in a bad light, not actually in a good light. It just shows you that either they are showing random numbers or they don't know the business themselves. Both of them tell you that they may not be good founders to bet on. So more than what numbers you're putting, it's the strength of the thought process that has gone behind those numbers, how well you can defend them, how they sit in the context of the overall market size, opportunity size, and being able to achieve it within a 10-20% variance. So yeah,
Super.
so I think
Got
that's
it.
more realistic.
All right, Sanjay, I think
Thank
that
you, sir.
answers. Yeah, great. Moving next, one of the most fundamental questions that people have asked is how can a chartered accountant who are largely into GST and income tax, and how do they get into tax due? Okay. So most of them have asked how can they get into tax due diligence and how could they encash this opportunity. Let me take a quick take on this before I can ask one of you to also answer. So Startup MSME Committee of ICAI has launched a certificate course which deals with all of these aspects. See, just as you are a chartered accountant, but how would they know that you are good in GST? Because you yourself have claimed that to be. You yourself are sound, you yourself have taken out time, invested your entire efforts in understanding a GST. And let me tell you, for people on screen, I'm sure they'll agree with me, GST is still an evolving act. And we are the ones who are actually making sure that this act becomes really implementable. And so imagine the litigation, the tribunal is being set now after 2017. It is today this year that they have set up the tribunal for a something like a GST. So you can imagine with such a complex thing, with something which is ever evolving, we have done such a wonderful work. Imagine when it comes to tax due diligence, imagine when it comes to helping startups, incubating, and all of this. I think we can do a wonderful job. The only thing is, one, you need to have a confidence in doing that. Second, knowledge. Third, perspective. And fourth, you yourself have to claim that, yes, so for example, if I talk about forensic investigation, I do that. So I always talk about doing this so Tarunji would say he's maybe a good investor, he understands business out and everything. So he does that. Apart from whatever is academic degree, but that is his confidence. Radhika ji would do the same. So it is up to you. How do you present yourself? How do you market yourself? And how do you actually share? So Tarunji and Radhika ji, for most of you, let me also bring that, you'll find a lot of chartered accountants who have done diploma in information system audits. But none of these people, unfortunately, have claimed that, we have information system auditors. And today, there's a huge dearth of information system auditors in the market. SEBI wants it, broking firms want it, AMFI wants it, but none of us have really actually capitalized and labeled ourselves as we are DISA also, and we know information system audits. Of course, that has been used for some other purpose, but that's how a perspective. So a certificate course on startup MSME is an ideal thing to do. You will understand all the virtual CFO, all the frameworks, all the subsidies, all the various nomenclatures that are being used for investors. How do you make those pitch presentations and due diligence and everything? What today we talked about. It's a wonderful certificate course that is in there. You may reach out to your nearest branch or write to the committee, and probably one of them would be organized very soon, and you can be a part of it. Tarunji or Radhika ji, if you want to have a take on this.
Yeah, I can add on. It is true that everybody is badly occupied in GST
Yeah.
tax and audit. Nobody is willing and bother to look beyond that. Private equity and venture capital is a very niche industry. It requires specialized knowledge and understanding, such as, building financial statement is one thing, but building a financial model is a different game altogether. You need to learn how to build financial model. Similarly, valuation, extremely complicated subject, right? You bring four valuers on the table, they will all agree with it. They will not agree on a single number. Everybody will come out with a different number. Now, what most of the chartered accountants are doing, they are just picking up a template in Excel for DCF, putting the projections and just submitting a click button. It gives you present value of the future cash flow, which anybody can do. You go to Google, there are 100 templates available. I mean, every time I receive a DCF, I said, boss, ये valuation नहीं है. This is not how you do valuation, right? If you say give it to the investor, आपने 100 crore का projection दिखा रखा है, obviously your valuation number is going to be very high. So you need to learn valuation, the different methodologies, how it really works in the industry, and more importantly, you need to learn and understand. As I covered in the first part of my presentation, ये investor community काम कैसे करती है? How do they evaluate the entire investment? कैसे evaluate करते हैं? Investment committee क्या होती है? GP क्या होता है? LP क्या होता है? Due diligence कैसे होती है? Reports. There are a lot of aspects to it. So once you have inside understanding and information about the entire investment process, you will be in a better position to confidently talk, discuss, and advise your prospective clients. There is a lot of opportunities in the market available. You just need to tap it.
Yeah, right. Radhika ji, you've got a
No, not really, Arpit. I
Sure.
think CA community is known for being knowledge champions anyway, very elite
Absolutely.
group. So I'm sure this is just another challenge. Some
Yeah.
of the pointers that you and Tarunji have given are really good insights and inroads into getting to learn about the industry.
And let's take a live example, Radhika ji. If one has to convince you, that I want to do a tax due diligence, what is it that will make you convince? A chartered accountant, of course, but all our chartered accountants, as Tarunji rightly put, you have to actually put things in perspective. Valuation, everyone will know. Google template, हर कोई लेके आ जाएगा. So, what is it that will convince you that, okay, I can go and bank with this gentleman and then get this assignment done of tax due diligence to them? What
No,
is
so
it
some
that
of
will
the things
say?
that you mentioned that having, so some of the things that you mentioned which will set apart maybe one practitioner from the other are whether you know about the specific industry as well. So
Okay.
everybody is a CA, but if a CA who's also done certification on a specific industry or a specific asset class just tells you that their perspective changes. Principles are the same that have to be applied. The law and the rules are the same against which audit has to happen. But when you have a little bit of an insight on the industry or what the investor is looking for, what is their perspective, then you can read the same financial statements in a slightly different way and with a little bit of an angle. So that will give a more confidence for me that one person versus the other can will do slightly probably a better job. And at the end of the day, I also believe that it's part of it is art, not hard science as well. So it's experience, it's the detail orientedness that goes into it. But broadly, it is very templated. So I think these are the experience and the additional certifications that come with it. Just add on to the confidence.
Wonderful. Very well put. And see, one has to also understand if Radhika ji is assigning you this opportunity, she has to report it to someone. She's answerable to someone. And if she doesn't get that confidence in the middle way and you are supposed to, just go away, she's left for nothing. So she has to also look at the credentials, that backup, that ability to, respond. Because as rightly mentioned, templates are available with everyone. But, if there are 4 people out there, how do they select? So I think that is how decision making would help in. So your the way you present things and the way you bring out that expertise is something which is relevant here. Vishnu ji has asked about a full-time finance role in an MNC. Very interested in supporting startups. Is there an ICAI challenge? Yes, Vishnu. Please reach out to us to MSME committee, and I'm sure it'll be very helpful that if you're around, we can actually try and put up through some channels, and you can actually work with some startup and contribute to their fundraising and structuring initiatives. Deepak ji has asked, Anuradha ji, you've joined us. That says
Hi,
that the
Arpit ji. How
time
are
is up.
you?
Yeah, I understand
No, I
that.
have been on the
Yeah.
call. I've been hearing all
Okay,
through. And
wonderful.
yeah, I heard Gyan sir. I've been on the call all through, and I've heard
Amazing.
Radhika ji. I've heard Tarun ji. So it's exciting, interesting conversation
Yes.
happening here. But in the interest of time,
Right.
everybody, I just wanted to highlight, we can just wrap this up in the next 10 minutes if
We
possible.
should.
Because it's getting like 8:40 already here in Singapore.
Oh, right. All right. So I
So
think
I
last
know
3
we
questions.
could go on and on with the questions and the exciting sharing, but I'm so sorry. But if it
No,
is
so
possible, that'll be
actually
great.
it's a great feedback for ICAI Singapore chapter that you've got a great audience and they're so keen, and usually it ends up with the last vote of thanks that I would have given or Tarunji would have said thank you. People would have gone up, but they're still here asking questions. That is a great feedback for you. Keep up the good job. Last 3
Thank you.
questions we'll take quickly. Deepak says he's a consulting CFO, and how do I convince Indian VCs that they should view this business model tech product? Okay. Unlike Indian founders who have set a team as employees, these founders get all this product development. All right, Tarunji, maybe
I haven't. You have spoken so fast. I couldn't.
No, I was trying to see what is the relevant question. Now I'm putting it up for you.
Yeah.
So Deepak ji has been in 38 years in a corporate career, and a Canadian IoT company, Internet of Things, has approached them for funding as they have a set of ready products, which is like shelf off the shelf products. And unlike Indian founders who have a set team as employees, this founder has got all his product development done through contract employees in Canada, where he holds patents. Any idea? Should we really help, and how should we convince Indian VCs that they should view this business model of tech product development through contract favorably?
So
Very specific.
I'll make one important point, which is the common mistakes made by almost every founder and also the advisors as well. That common mistake is when we reach out to a prospective investors, we are not willing to invest time required to read that particular investor and its investment thesis, right? Now, reading an investment thesis, knowing your investor, it's like knowing your target market. वो कम से कम एक इन्वेस्टर को पढ़ने में आपको 15 मिनट लगते हैं. नो दैट 15 मिनट कोई देना नहीं चाहता. यू शुड गो टू द वेबसाइट, उसको पढ़ो. उसने what are the sectors, what is the ticket size, what businesses they don't invest, blah blah blah. Go to his LinkedIn profile, go to the news clip, one of the slide I have covered. Now if you spend that 15 minutes or 20 minutes of your hard work in understanding the investment thesis, you will be in a better position to actually figure out कि क्या ये इन्वेस्टर मेरे काम का है, क्या ये इन्वेस्ट कर सकता है, प्रोबेबिलिटी है. अभी क्या हो रहा है ना, अभी तो इट्स लाइक ए मार्केटिंग फ्लायर, like you go out of your room and start circulating your marketing flyer to all over the all over the place. It doesn't work that way. So coming back to the question, I mean, first and foremost task that you have, आपको अपना इन्वेस्टर आइडेंटिफाई करना है, वो आपका 40 से 50% का काम हो गया, right? Once you have identified an investor, your step number 2 यार उसको आप अपना टीजर बढ़िया सा बना के भेज दो, which capture the meaning and relevant information. Once they receive the information, they will do the internal filtering. Once they complete their internal filtering, they themselves will come back to you if your business model, if your product, your service matches with their investment thesis. It's simple. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, Tarunji.
Yeah. I mean, did I answer the question or not?
Yeah, but then, his question was, how should he convince Indian VCs to invest in that kind of a product, which, contractually he's got it developed from Canada and is trying to sell it? Does that really take off?
It may or it may not. Again, depends upon the thesis of the investors, right? Now, there are funds in the market who says, okay, founders are sitting in overseas, but they have an Indian subsidiary which is based here, and vice versa. So the investors have an investment thesis. नहीं, अगर business India में होगा तो हम invest नहीं करेंगे, and vice versa, right? So it is their preference कि वो इस पर्टिकुलर डील में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे या नहीं करेंगे, वो तो आप अप्रोच करोगे इनको तभी
तो ही
पता
मालूम
लगेगा.
पड़ेगा.
There is no other way.
I believe Indian VCs would really not really like to off the shelf products में क्यों करेंगे? वो भी Canadian, मतलब यहाँ से develop हो रहा हो तो maybe they'll be interested, is what I totally agree. But anyways,
there are some funds actually which invest only in patents and IP rights.
Okay, got it.
They are not looking for business models. They're buying out patent and then they sell those patents to people to develop business owners. So going back to your point about thesis, find such VC players and then they can probably.
Yes, right. Radhika ji, one question is, while you mentioned, diluting similar to selling, like, so, someone has asked, isn't diluting similar to like selling your company slowly? And if you can share a live case on equity versus CCPS, what has helped better? I think this is the last question we have, and rest Sarita ji can then relax. Okay. So first question, diluting is similar to selling your company slowly. There's a little bit of an emotional angle to that. I can totally understand. As a founder, you start from zero, you take the company, it becomes bigger. If the company and the business is self-sustainable, it can invest in itself and you're okay with that speed of growth, then absolutely. Let the business grow at its own size. It should self-fund and you don't need external funding. Why do you need external funding is if you want to accelerate that growth. That could be one reason. What you could have done yourself in 5 years, you want to do in 2 years and do it faster. The other reason could be sometimes the skill set and the knowledge and the access that strategic investors can bring in are actually value addition to the company. It's not just about the money. It's also about to access to the other resources they bring in, mentorship, other bigger investors, other founders in their cohort who come and work together, opening up networking opportunities in your potential industry, customers, etc. So if somebody is coming in with a value addition which is worth it, then you wouldn't look at it as selling off your company, but instead getting a partner and then together 1 + 1 is more than 2, right? So you come together and make a bigger company together. But yes, at the end of the day, the question you as a founder you have to answer is, do I want 100% of a $1 million company or do I want 50% of a $20 million company? Right. So these are the things you have to, consider when you're thinking about dilution. The other question was about CCPS versus equity. I mean, which has helped someone.
Yeah. So CCPS versus equity. So case that I mentioned was an example where the company was in a slightly more early stage of its journey. So they were close to revenue generation, but not revenue generating yet. Right now, by traditional methods of valuation, if I put that in a model, I would not give them very good valuation because they're not revenue generating yet. All their future projections are numbers on an Excel sheet. They haven't established any, cash flow yet, cash inflows yet. So if I value them, I would give them a very tentative valuation because I'll apply a probability to every future projection that they are doing. However, this company had contracts signed with, it was a B2B company, so it had contracts signed, right? Once they had the money to actually develop the technology fully, they had ready customers who had given them confirmed orders, and they would have started the revenue. But they needed that money to bridge that last 3-4 months of work, right? So at that point, if I wanted to value them, they wouldn't get a very good valuation. It made sense for them to get into a CCPS or a discount to future round kind of a valuation. It was more of a bridge funding. They took the money, developed the product. After 1 year, when the revenue had started, they had numbers to show. The actual customers came on board. At that time, when they raised a bigger round, they raised bigger amount of money. And at that time, the valuation they got was much more realistic, much more favorable to the company. Yeah.
Super. So last, I think that's it from from our end. I'm sure there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of helping that they want. Please feel free to reach out to us on our LinkedIn's, on our Instagram. So people who have asked for some Lucknow chapters and all, please feel free to connect with us. I'm Arpit Kabra 25 on LinkedIn, on all the Lift handles: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So you can reach out to us. We call it Lift. And I'm sure Radhika ji would also be there. Tarun ji would also be there. They're on LinkedIn. You can reach out to them. You can reach out to Singapore, reach out to Indian chapters, reach out to any branches of ICAI, anywhere. You will get answers. You will get some response. Hemant has just asked that, having incubation center in ICAI branches wouldn't be a conflict of interest. It's like we have to move on. I don't know where do you see a conflict of interest, but ICAI can incubate and is incubating already. So it doesn't matter. I don't see any conflict of interest there. That's it from our end. Thank you very much, Radhika and Tarun. I think these question answers were amazing. We had a real fire session actually. Sarita ji, over to you. You look like a newspaper presenter now with the screen behind you. Yeah. So you've got some hints, insights for us now.
Thank you, RPG, for taking the Q&A session for us. And I hope most of our questions are answered. If anything is left, we can direct later on through LinkedIn or to our speakers. And thank you, Tarun sir and Radhika ji, for answering the questions. And now I'm going to share the QR code. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes.
Yeah.
This QR code you can scan and get in touch with our collaborator BeyondSeed.
Wow.
And now I will request CA Arpit Kabra sir to deliver a vote of thanks and wrap up this session.
Oh, I've done it.
Sir.
Let's hear it from the chairperson, Anuradha ji. I think it's a befitting
Okay, ma'am,
feedback
over to you.
So maybe you would want to thank everyone on behalf of this wonderful collaboration that you've done.
Thank you so much, Arpit ji. We were really looking forward to hearing from you for the word of thanks. But yes, since you've spotlighted me, I will go ahead and do that. It was nice to see 300 participants join such an exciting session. It was interesting to have Radhika ji and Tarun ji deliver such interesting, topic. The topic was very well received by members, and Gyan sir's present and Arpit sir, your presence has definitely added more to the session. BeyondSeed has been a very good partner in this whole journey, and we are thankful to them. So thank you all the speakers and Gyan sir and Arpit sir and all the members for attending. Thank you, everyone.
Hope to see all of you in WOFA. Registrations have opened. One of the largest events, World Forum of Accountants happening. I'm sure Anuradha would be there in Noida this year. One of the largest export shows that the India hosts. We have selected that venue this time. It's gonna be a big, grand event. So see you all there. And as people who really want to know more about networking effectively, stay with this platform. I'm sure you'll learn a lot about it, and WOFA would be your first battleground. So you can actually implement those skills there.
No, definitely, Arpaji. It has been a very exciting time at WOFA we spent last year. So definitely, we already have 6 registrations from Singapore team already done.
Wonderful.
So we are looking at more people to join. So
great. Look forward to welcome you all here in India. and have a
Thank
good
you.
time there. All right.
And
Take
I would
care.
like to thank Sarita and Kushal for seamlessly handling this session.
Oh, great job there. Abhishek, Sarita ji, and the entire back
Yes,
office team.
Abhishek too. Yeah.
Abhishek, yeah. Good work.
Thank
All
you.
right. Take care. Have a good night. Sleep well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you
Tarunji.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.